Good evening. Welcome to the Tammy Talk Show. Today we're going to just sit around the table, my family and I, and we want to discuss the latest thing that is going on in the news. I know everybody has heard about it, and I'm going to share it with me and my children and the husband. We're going to share our take on it and how we feel about the situation. And I'm just going to wait till some more people come in. Just waiting on some more to come in to listen to Tammy Talks on today. I know that we're all concerned about what happened in the news also. And we're just hoping for change. A lot of times I hear people say we're praying for change, but it's time to make a change. It's time for us to do what we can do to help our generation of people. I know everybody have their own views about it, but my topic tonight is being African American in America. And we're going to talk about what our story is being black, being African American in America today. We know the history that our ancestors have lived, but we're going to talk about our experience now. And I'm going to wait till some more people chime in, and we need to know what it means to, I want to know what it means to my sons and my daughter and my husband and myself and the viewers who are viewing today. What it means to you being an African American in America. Our story. Because we can share our story with other people, but no one would know what it's like to be African American in America but us. And the reason why I keep saying that is because we are African Americans that was born in America, but we still can't not erase our history, or erase where we came from. And I so often talk with my kids, and I would tell them, even as they was growing up, that everybody from every other country have their history, and they have something that they can tell their kids about what happened in, their lives as, growing up, whether it's Korean or where, different countries. Different people got a history to look back on, but us as African Americans, our history don't paint a pretty picture for us. But we did come from Africa, but not even the Africans that come to America consider us Africans, but our ancestors came from there. And we want to talk about it today. We want to talk about the things that had happened here recently and has been happening even since Martin Luther King marched. Not too much have changed. It's just taken a different demographic. I'll say it that way. It has taken a different direction, but it's still the same method. But we want to talk today concerning that. I just want to ask my husband to start us out with his concerns and some of the things he's thinking about. But we want you all, if you have any questions, if you want to try to chime in, we'll call out your name and we'll read off what you're saying. But we want you to just pay attention to what we have to say today. And I want to start off too, how I used to always tell my boys when they was growing up, I would tell them you can be whoever you want to be and whatever you want to be in America. But you always got to be careful in the direction that you're going. Even when they got older and they started driving, I remember the first time when my husband taught my oldest son to drive, I was terrified. Not that he was driving, I was terrified that he was going to be on the road out there. And what encounter would he encounter? And he did encounter some experiences, and we're going to talk about that on today. But is it safe to be African American in America anymore? So we're going to talk about all those things on tonight. So here's my husband going to start us out.
Are you sure you want me to start?
Yes, I want you to start. Just a few things, and then we'll go around the table.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna I'm just gonna say a little bit at the moment, and I'm gonna let the rest of my family chime in because I have a lot to say, and you know, this is definitely a touchy subject.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to try to put it as direct as I can with my comments without being offensive. But it's just, you know, my heart is heavy today, and you know, I don't have a lot of friends when it comes to a lot of topics because I like to hit all the sides of the topics, and I like to come straight from the hip with it. I wasn't always like that, but I don't know whether it's my age or just my experiences in life. But I said that to say I'm going to make a couple comments, and then I'm going to let the room kind of get a little stirred up because I'll probably get a little stirred up. Let me start by saying this. My wife said that there was a time when we told our kids you could be anything that you want to be, and my mom used to tell me the same thing. But you know, I want to address some of the elephants that have always been in the room when it concerns African Americans in America. And certainly for those of you that know me and that know my family and my extended family, know that we have a melting pot of cultures in our family. So for those of you that don't know me, don't judge the views by what you may hear tonight. Look at them as you know, my opinions and some things that actually could be considered, you know, correct or something that makes sense. So please don't do that, because if you don't, for those of you that know us, you all know better. But for those of you that don't, just kind of take in everything that's going on and that's being said tonight for what it's worth. So let me go back to that. Then I'm going to let some of my kids chime in. You know, in America today, the truth of the matter is, and my mom used to tell it to me, but you cannot be anything you want to be as an African American, especially as an African American male. You just can't. And you know what? I did not teach my kids that growing up. I taught them to love everyone, but I taught them to understand the skin they were in. And first of all, if we don't do that, then you're really doing your children a disservice. Listen, hear me what I'm saying. It's okay to teach your children the skin that they're in. It's also something that you should do to let them know that you don't have to be like the rest of the world, but you have to be careful of the rest of the world. We have many people that we have in our family and our friends of many cultures, many races, literally many races. However, you cannot teach your African American children, our black children, this is what it is, because everybody is not the same way. So you have to teach them how to be aware, how to be careful, how to protect themselves, how to understand their surroundings, to always look out. This is a tough way for us as African Americans to live, but these are the real truths that we have to teach our children. Otherwise, you're giving them a disservice. You're putting them out into the world, and they're going to get blindsided, and then they're going to start regretting, well, why didn't my mother and father tell me about this? Why didn't they tell me this was coming down the road? Because I promise you, it's coming down the road. Everyone doesn't have the same views. All of our friends don't feel the same way about us. There are still prejudice in the world. And guess what? Here's another elephant in the room. And I know somebody's not going to like it when I say this. It will not change. So what we have to do is we have to do something different.
Yes.
We have to do something different. But it will not change. For those of us that are thinking we're going to come together and and I know this is cliche-ish, kumbaya with everyone and it's going to get better. Guess what? It's not going to get better. We have to learn how to deal with it and deal around it in order to survive, in order for our children, in order for our grandchildren to survive. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is the real truth. This is an elephant that's been in the room. I can't stand it when I hear people on television saying, this is going to be a change. It's just not going to change. It's going to be what it's going to be. Now we, as a people, have to learn how to deal with it. We got to educate ourselves. We've got to teach ourselves. We've got to be more aware. We've got to learn how to love ourselves. I know somebody ain't going to like that. But until we do that, we can't expect anyone else to stand with us. And I'm going to stop right there and let somebody else chime in. But I got plenty more to say. But I'm going to leave it alone right there for right now.
Even as you was talking, I have a question that I would like to ask my sons that are sitting around the table. What is it like to be a black man in America?
I made a post recently about having to be on my P's and Q's is tiring. I love my heritage, but I don't want to be killed for it. That kind of really means that whenever I go out in public or whenever I go to a store or a restaurant, I can't go with a tank top and some shorts on and some shoes because I'm going to be given the side eye. Like, what is he doing here? Like, he doesn't look like he's dressed to be able to walk into the store, or maybe he's going to steal something. Like, I feel like that's on people's minds. Mm-hmm. And like, if you can't look at someone straight in their eyes when they come in and you have to like look real quick and then look away, then your motive in your mind is not clean when you look at me. If you have a clean motive when you look at someone, you're able to look at them, glance, maybe like crack half a smile, mm-hmm. and then just go back to whatever you were doing. But like in America, I just don't feel like safe or like welcome. Like even when I go to a store and I want to buy something, if I want to get my phone out of my pocket to use it, I have to be as dramatic as possible because I know there are cameras watching me. And like even in the Walmart we used to shop at, there used to be a guy that used to follow us around all the time. Like every time we walked in, we used to, I don't know.
All the time.
All the time. He would always follow us. And I'm just like, why are you following us? Like one day I confronted him and I asked him like, why are you following us? And I don't know, I can't honestly remember the answer he gave us. But it just made me nervous to feel like he was like watching us all the time. Mm-hmm. And now, or just all the time in general, because of the way I was raised to like, be mindful of how people look at me when I go out in public. That when I do reach for my phone, I have to be dramatic and make sure that the merchandise I have in my hand is separate from my phone in my pocket, so that they can see that I'm just pulling my phone out of my pocket, so that I can use my phone and like maybe look up a price or just check something real quick because my mom might be texting me to ask me to get something else. Then be dramatic again, put my phone in my pocket, and then hold the merchandise in my hand, in both hands. Yeah. It's tedious, it's tiring, and it's unnecessary that I have to do that.
Right. But you all know that you will have to be that way in order to even keep yourself safe. Even because if they suspect that you was up to something, they would call the security, and then here come the whole boom, y'all just coming in, and then all of a sudden it can be escalated as to a much worse thing, like this young man have gone through, like we saw on Facebook and on television this week, that what happened to that young man, and how his life was not important as to that person that had his knee on his neck. It was just like, we don't care. Right about now, I don't care. All I want to do is accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish right here and right now. And it's strange how you all get treated as to how they get treated. It was something my daughter said to me before we came on. I want her to share that with us, how she said what she feel when she's with her brothers or she's with her cousins. Just share that with us.
Okay, well, when I look at the black man or black men, I think of them as a symbolization of the Incredible Hulk. When I'm with my dad, my brothers, cousins, uncles, male friends that are black, I feel safe. Like, I feel like they're going to protect me. They're not going to allow anything to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the scary part about it is how the world is changing and how you can see men, like, getting killed right in front of us.
Yeah.
And it's our black men. It's the man that, I know you're going to protect me, but when I see you on the ground dying, my protection is gone. And it just bothers me. And I'm about to cry, so I'm trying to hold it together.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel so helpless. Like, I couldn't take seeing my brothers or anything happening like that, because I'll become that woman. Hey, I died with my brother because, hey, I was going to hit you on your head. We're going to fight. I'm going down with my brother. They put him in that type of situation.
Yeah.
So it just makes us, or me, as a black woman, feel helpless. Like, I can't do anything to help.
Right.
All I can do is see my Hulk on the ground dying, or shot to death.
Yeah.
Or, you know, he's not even doing anything wrong. He's trying to protect me, but you're killing him.
And then you try to explain it, then they turn on you
Yeah.
for
but
trying to
they have
explain it. And the most horrible thing about it, like you were just saying, you see them, you look at them as your Hulk, as someone strong that's going to fight for you. And we're put in a position to see them so vulnerable. And see the men so vulnerable and see the life taken out of them. And I do believe that's the image that they want to place in our mind. See, I was reading, I had looked up history of one of the almost astronauts that was in our history. And I was listening to his documentary. Here it is, Eddie Dwight Jr. He was invited to participate and to become one of the world famous astronauts, but he was black. And after he went into the classes, he stated how in his documentary that the man that was over the school, he went to the students, he called them all in the auditorium and began to tell them that we're going to do these things right here for 6 months. I don't want you all to talk to him. I don't want you to socialize with him. I don't want you to drink with him. I don't want you to invite him to any of your parties. Just ignore him like he don't exist. He said, because this will psychologically break him. And as I began to look at that, I began to think on how we are seeing so many things happening in the news media to the young men and to even to the young women. They are hitting on they're getting the black women too. And as we see our generation get annihilated or ostracized or, you know, put in this position, and then they were saying that this will, you know, like mentally affect us. And I don't want my young men that I'm raising to feel intimidated with the world that we've been placed in, that they had no choice of coming in. I was even thinking how, even with my kids sitting around the table, when I gave birth to them, they didn't have a choice of who their mother was going to be. They didn't have a choice who their father was going to be. They just came into this world unbeknown who they was going to be. But then they realized they was black male and female. African American, yes. And we have no choice of the color of our skin. But we are not going to be afraid to be or are not like who we are just because we was born this way. I tell every African American out there, be proud of who you are. And we need to stand together. We need to stand together as one in every way that we can. Not only in political views, but in social views. And every view. You know, even when when you have a company, a black man have a company, a black woman have a company, let us support them. Support them with all of our hearts. Support them with our money. And to let them know that we appreciate that you are achieving something. Now is not the time to try to be jealous of what they have. It's time for us to stand together. That's what we need to do. One thing I have seen that other races, they stick together. And we need to stick together. This young man lost his life. he lost his life, and many other have lost their life. I mean, it has heightened. You would have thought that after Martin Luther King marched, and the people that marched, and things would change. It changed some, but it's still the same. Yes, I said it changed some, but it's still the same. But what can we do to try to help this change? What can we be about to cause change to happen in our generation? Because I got a granddaughter. My granddaughter is mixed. My granddaughter, African American, and she's white. And what am I going to do? Do I love half of her? No, I love all of her. I can't love the half of her that my daughter having her, and the other half that her father have, I don't love. No, I love all of her. But with that being said, she's still considered African American. She's still considered that. And we would say she's interracial, but on her paperwork, it's going to have to be on there. She's African American. So we have to find the place where we fit and live. And I heard one of my children say that, what was the thing that you said, Anthony, or was it you, Jaleesa, that said you wrote the stuff down, but you was afraid to, I forgot what she said or how she said it, but she'll think about it. But it's sad that we are in a world that we had no choice of being the color that we came in, and to be hated for the color that we are. That's something else. And then people that of other races don't understand how we feel. We can express ourselves all day long, but they will never be able to experience what we feel because they're not in our skin. At this time, I asked Anthony. Look, Anthony, you have something you want to say?
Yes, I've been over here collecting my notes in my head. First thing I want to say is I have often thought about like when I see like different stuff, like what's going on in the news now with us African Americans, and I say sometimes I wish I was white, but then I think about it and I'm like, well, what if I'm the hateful white person? So then I'm like, well,
Wow.
what if I'm the wrong white person, whatever, and I only wanted to be white because of the privileges, but then I turn back and say, you know what, I like being black because I have power, and that's the reason why they're cutting me down. And they're afraid for me to get somewhere further than where I am. And like my mom said, I didn't have a choice to be here. She didn't have a choice to be here. The Africans that came over here didn't have a choice to be here. They got pulled to be over here.
Yeah.
And then they only got pulled with guns because I believe back in the day, them Africans knew what they were doing with their hands and with everything else because we didn't have the resources of guns.
Yeah.
So they used the guns to like put fear in us, and they still have that mentality into us. But I remember my mom said my dad taught me how to drive, and I was driving my brother's home from church, and we lived in the white area, and I got pulled over, and I was shaking. I wasn't shaking then because I thought I was gonna die. I was scared because I thought I was gonna get a ticket. Now today, I'm scared to get pulled over thinking I'm gonna die because it wasn't as bad back then in 2006 and 2007 when I was driving, learning how to drive and different things. It wasn't as bad. It was going on, but not as bad as now.
And you wasn't terrified the first time you was pulled over, but I was. I can remember the first time he got pulled over, and we was in New York. And when they pulled him over, I had just bought my brand new car. I had just bought a Hummer.
You had the truck. You had the truck.
It was the truck. Okay, it was the truck. I had the truck. And when he was driving the truck, they said that he didn't have the lights on. And that was the first thing I told him. I said, make sure you turn your lights on, make sure you do your brakes. I told him to make sure to get everything right. He only had to go down the street, not even a block away from the house. And he called me on the phone, Mom, the cops are pulling me over. And I told him, you hold that phone just as close as you can to you. And his sister was in the car. I said, let your sister get the phone because I don't want them making mistakes. I you got a gun in your hand. And I heard him when he walked up and he began to question my son. I said, you do exactly what he's telling you to do. I said, don't make no motion, don't do nothing different. And I was talking so loud because I can get loud. I can get very loud in country. I was so loud that I even heard the policeman even say, "Ma'am, I'm just telling him to turn his lights on. You have no need to be afraid." I said, "I just want him to come home alive." And I'm halfway down the street now in my other car. I'm on the way. He said, "No, ma'am, you don't have to come. I'm sending your son home." But it terrified me because I didn't know what the outcome would be, because something recently in New York had just happened to a young man in the city. And I was afraid, God, please let my baby make it home. So it's horrible that as a parent, you have to walk that road and have to live that life. And when we moved back down here, they had different cars, and I would always call, "Where you at? What you doing?" Because I wanted to know, because I wanted my children, when you leave my house, I want you to come back home. I don't want that knock on the door and say, no, that ain't me. What are you talking about? I don't want that call, or I don't want that knock on the door. So back to you, Anthony. I just had to share that. I was terrified. I know all parents are. If you're raising a male in America, you are afraid. Not even for the males, even for your daughters. Go ahead.
And I'm a type of person, I'm a respectful and calm person. So I really don't get too excited or riled up as much, in that situation. If he would have said something, which he was kind of a little firm, but, I'm a calm person, so I kind of like say yes, sir, and all that kind of stuff. I stay, in my manner. And because like my mom said, I was taking my siblings home. And if I would have went outright, my sister would have went outright, and then I would have scared my brothers, and my little brothers, they were rambunctious and all that kind of stuff. So he probably would have got all of us. And then my dad would have came down there, and then that would have been a whole different story. But he's in the military, so he would have went straight back to Iraq. So I mean, it would have been horrible. But I calmed down. But just like this guy here, he wasn't really rambunctious or anything, but they still got him. So basically, another thing I want to say too is, on another instance, we should not be afraid to be black. We should be confident to be black and show our confidence. Don't show our fear. Anytime we get pulled over, anytime we see them, we just walk with our heads up. And and I looked at an article on Facebook, and this young lady, this Caucasian lady, she was doing a study, and she put the timeline of us being oppressed from slavery and segregation and still in slavery, still doing wrong. And she said, and you wonder why they're angry. And you wonder why they get rambunctious. You wonder why, if I know I didn't do anything right, I'm going to defend myself to the point where, if I know I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm going to say I didn't do it wrong. But I'm a calm person. I'm going to sit there and I get this from my dad. I'm going to sit there and let you do all your stuff, and towards the end, and make you look stupid. I'm not going to get loud with you. I know I'm not doing anything wrong. So I'm going to sit there and like, okay, all right, you think I'm doing this wrong? Like my brother was saying about the stores and stuff. Yes, I'm cautious, but if I know that I'm doing the right thing and you come and accuse me, I'm not gonna yell at you, because that shows, that's just me. It's different people, does different reaction. But me, I'm not gonna start yelling and screaming, I ain't got nothing, I ain't do this, I ain't do that.
Right.
If I know I ain't did anything, I'm gonna say, okay, great, put me in the office and check my bags. Okay, sir, great, I knew. That's why I'm not gonna get mad, because I know. And some people be like, well, African Americans, they out there on the streets and they selling drugs, they're selling this. They're selling it at the level of slavery. Because if you go on the higher commands and they're connects, what they showed on TV, they're not African American. They're other races.
Say what I was going to say.
So you're mad because they're selling drugs for maybe the white person, the Russian person, the Spanish person. They're not black up there making all the millions and billions and quadrillions of dollars. But you're going to get us to put us in jail because we're selling it. And I wish the African Americans would understand that we stood at the top, even though we might get a couple of million from that. You're still not up at the top with the connections and everything like that. So I wish we would understand that, that's not worth it. We should be able to get a job and not be afraid to work in those places and go to the top as much as we can, and not showing that, oh, I'm black and I got it. No, I'm showing it so we can show somebody else. And we can support each other. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. What's the thing, like people say, or white people say,
hold on for a minute. I want the husband to read that question right there. The comment right there so we can talk with her.
Okay, it says, it starts with us as a people first, 10K. is sending us this and says, how can we expect them to see value in the life of a black man when other black men don't value each other's life? Very good comment, and we're going to talk about that. That's
We're gonna
China.
talk about that.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about
Hey,
that.
China, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And yes, yes, we can help each other out because we can support each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, President Obama's campaign slogan was saying, "Yes, we can." And we
Mhm.
always say we can't do it because of the white man. He gonna not let us do anything.
Right.
And he went up and said, "Yes, we can," and we got him in office.
Mm-hmm.
And another person, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is where he is today because of our support, because of
Right.
what he brought to the table, and we enjoyed it and we supported him
Right.
to he where he is today. So we
Right.
can do it. We can support
We can do it.
black-owned businesses and black-owned stuff, and I wish that more of our African American celebrities would get their own things and let us know that they got it, so we can support them.
Right.
You know, and not saying that we can't do it because of we can't get this, we can't get that. Money has power,
Yes.
and once
Money
we
is power.
shift our money to our culture,
All
we'll have
right.
the power to say, hey, stop that police officer, or we're gonna stop doing this, or we're gonna stop paying for this, or we're gonna stop doing that.
Mhm.
They will listen.
Yeah.
You know, and we actually we African Americans, we made the United States. So we help bring it through. We help push it and help invent things, and and that's one of the reasons why they got us here, because they knew that we did it so well in Africa. Once we get that confidence back, like, hey, not to be cocky, like, oh yeah, we did it. No, to say that yes, we did it, and we're gonna do it for each other, and we're gonna push
Right.
each other so that we can keep doing it for ourselves and not be afraid. So every black man, every young, old, because I'm gonna bring forth a black man one day. I'm gonna show him to be confident in who you are. Because he might be bigger than me. I'm short, so I probably don't pose a threat like my brother does. I probably don't pose a threat. I don't show fear because I'm shorter. But my son might be taller than me,
Yeah.
and bigger than me.
Yeah.
So I got to show him just to be confident in who he is,
Yeah.
and don't, when they do get stopped, just be respectful.
Yeah.
Be respectful. It's okay to be confident and respectful when you get pulled over.
But what do you do when you're being respectful
And they still go.
and they still go to the left with you?
Well, just like the young man just recently, he looked like he was respectful and everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
Be compliant.
you
to
might
it.
have to be stuck in a situation where you couldn't help it. You can't help it. You did the right things, and
And the wrong
others
thing
seen you did the right
happened.
things, and the wrong thing happened. So
Yeah.
it's not you. It's not your fault. It's
Right.
not that person's fault. It's the police. It make them look bad.
Right.
So they want to question him. That's why they killed him, because he was resisting arrest. No. Okay. Go ahead, take me, pull me down.
And even to the mothers of those children that they lose. I don't care if they're adults, 50, 60, 70, whatever age you are. When you get taken that way, you still had a mother. And for a mother to lose her son or daughter that way, it's devastating. And it's just like a piece of you dies on the street like that. And it looked like it take us back to slavery time when the male was killed right in front of the female, and you saw them do what they did to him. You saw them hang him, and now you see them placing them in the street. You see them let them lay in the street. Like, you have no value. You are no respect. And then, like the young lady just asked the question that even concerning our young men hurting each other.
Yes.
Why is that? I just have a big question for that. Why is that? Why are we killing our own young men? The young men, it's one thing I shared with my kids too, my young men. I told them, when men do men on crime, and then the other people don't have to do it because you are doing it. I said, but you know what you're doing to our generation? You're killing off our seed. Because the black on black crime killed the seed of a man. And the seed, you carry the seed. And if you carry the seed, what are we to do? How is our generation going to keep going? We got to be mindful to stop hurting one another, taking each other's lives, because you all carry the seed. I mean, young people, 20-something years old and 30-something years old, y'all are seed carriers. Y'all are seed carriers until you can't carry no more. You know, y'all carry the seed, so don't kill off of our generation because it's happening. But we got to learn to save ourselves and save our community of men. Okay.
Okay, I have a comment. With that black on black crime, it's a product of your environment, and then we're also in that area. You know, what I've heard and seen on TV is that you're taking my money, you're taking my spot, or you made me mad, and all the kind of stuff like that. So I'm gonna shoot you instead of instead of like handling it a different way, maybe discussing it or whatever. However they, other ways to do it.
Yeah.
And we also see that the cops are doing the same exact thing to us, and they say, well, they're taking my money, they're taking my. Well, when you get stopped by the cops and different things and different other situations, they're stopping different stuff in that instant, but you stop and comply to them sometime, and you don't want to try to kill them. You want to just yield and be quiet. Why can't we do that to our own and say, hey,
talk about it.
Say, hey, can you just stay over there?
Figure it out.
And we just, we try to figure something out where you don't cross over here and try not. And if you are in that, try not to do that. There's millions of people coming around, and I'm not condoning it, but there's millions of other people that might want what you have.
Right.
So just look at it, try to look at it a different way than just saying, oh, let's take over here and take over there, because we don't take over their areas. We don't take over their companies when we, why not we just get a legitimate business and just try to take over that kind of stuff and take over our community in a positive way and say, hey, listen, I got but I'm going to go to a good one. I got a store here, a grocery store here, come in to my store and supply and come for me. Black farmers, they support the black farmers to say, I got my produce, I got my cows, I got my pigs. Got all that from a black farmer, and I have a black grocery store owner come to me. And also, I just seen a comment that my cousin Ivory put up. Okay, when we get to jail, let's use a black lawyer. Let's try to find a black judge to go for us. Push them into those spots so that we can use them and put it into them so that we can have what we need eventually. Let's put more of a black people into the Congress if we can, if they can run.
Yeah.
And then if you are running, don't be afraid to say, hey, I want to run for Congress, or I want to run for this, because we did it for President Obama. We can do it for the individuals on the outside. That's where the actual laws get passed. It's not the president. The president just put his name on it, but the House and the Senate is the real people that passes and stops it and say, oh, we're going to change this law and change that.
Right.
Why don't we get a majority of us in there, African Americans, and if the other community, Caucasian community, we try to pray that they be on our side, and if there are some on our side, let's push them into the office.
Right.
So they can talk to their peers, and let's talk to them and say, hey, can you help us out? There are some out there are helping us. Let's keep pushing them in there so that we can get what we need.
Okay. And somebody else go on?
I think that I want to piggyback on what he was saying. Yeah, we need to ensure that. I heard it on the news yesterday. Not the news. I heard it on the radio yesterday. The Willie Moore Jr. show. Attorney was talking about how we need to hold the people in government accountable for what's going on. If we know that, I'm not saying because I'm not sure what this was going on, but if the district attorney in our state is basically twiddling their thumbs every time something like this happens in Georgia, and they're not doing anything about it, and they've been doing that for the past 10 years, we might need to move them out the way. We might need to vote them out. We need to get somebody else in place that'll look out for people, all people, including us. When people started the Black Lives Matter movement, all of a sudden there was an All Lives Matter movement. I don't know how that started, but they definitely misunderstood that. The Black Lives Matter movement is saying, in addition to every other life on the planet, my black child's life matters too.
Yeah.
My black child should be able to go to school and be treated by his teacher with respect, even if he is not the most intelligent kid in the class, even if he's not learning as fast as everybody else is.
Right.
He still should be treated with respect.
Yes.
He deserves to learn too, because you never know, he might be the next inventor. For example, Thomas Edison may have invented the light bulb, but a black man invented the copper filament inside the light bulb that makes it last longer. Like, when you see them light bulbs in Walmart, they'd be like, this will last for a certain X amount of days. The copper filament that's in that light bulb was invented by a black man so that it will function better and last longer. The actual, let's call them again. The stoplights were invented by a black man. Like, so that it'd be able, so people would be able to drive and not crash into each other and, like, be able to get to certain destinations.
So people can drive safely.
People can drive safely.
Yeah.
And, like, just a lot of different things that we should take a look at and understand and like be mindful of so that we can
progress on.
So
we can progress on and change can start happening. Because right about now, there have been no changes when it comes down to racism. You know, it's still the same. It hasn't changed at all. I was born and that year. I was born in the years when all this was going on, and even my birth certificate. You know, I looked at my birth certificate a while back. I said, really? And you know, so we had those times, and I lived through those times. But right now, we want change, and in order for change to happen, we got to work toward making it happen. And like the husband said, he don't think it's gonna change.
No, it's not.
And because it's a set way that it seems like we have to live as being African Americans. And we got to do it right, we got to say it right, and we got to act right. And in every way. So if we don't do right or act right, things happen to us or our children. You don't want to watch your child die in the street. You don't want to watch somebody chasing your child down to kill your child. That is so hurtful. And then to have to hear it over and over, and then to see that nothing get done about it. It's hurtful.
Yes.
Very hurtful.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so now I wanna get into some more stuff.
Yes.
And I've been sitting here itching,
Come
and
on
I've been
with it.
listening, and I appreciate all of the things that my family has said.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go down to the ground level with it.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we have to, and China brought this point out.
Yeah.
We've got to learn how to love each other. As African Americans, we have to learn how to love each other. You know, I go out, I try to exercise every day. When I'm in the store, when I'm trying to interact with my own people, sometimes I get the stare from other black men like they're trying to size me up. My people, we got to stop this.
Yeah.
We cannot be at odds with each other. I'm just going to say it like it is.
Yeah.
We've got to stop it. All right. We can't. They don't have to worry about what they're doing because we're doing it to ourselves.
All right.
We got to cut it out. If I see you and you look like me, then there should be some love there. Mm-hmm. I don't have to know you. Mm-hmm. If you're in trouble, I shouldn't be afraid. I shouldn't be afraid to go in the hood.
Right.
I'm just going to put it where it is.
Right.
I should not be afraid to walk in the hood. But I am because what? If I got on some Jordans, if they think I got some money, I'm going to get attacked by my own people.
Yep.
Now, I know we're on because we're talking about being black in America. And we're also on because of the horrible situation that has happened this week. And our heart goes out to everyone.
Oh, yes.
But we got to start dealing with these elephants in the room. Because guess what? When they see that we are together, they're going to be reluctant to do the things that they do.
Right.
So we have got to instill, and it has to start from infancy. There's a statistical gap between our African American men age groups. From that age group of from 15 up to around 35, 40, there's a gap. Why? Because most of them are incarcerated. We've got to break this cycle. It has to be broken. It has to start at the toddler level.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to show some love, and you got to be able to show them how to give some love. Everywhere I go, I was walking the street today. I looked at a guy, he was standing at the gas station. He was standing there smoking. He had to walk away from the pump because he had a cigarette, you know. And I'm speaking to him, and he's speaking to me like, yeah, what's up? Really? I'm trying to walk and get some miles in. I'm speaking to you from one black man to another black man, and you looking at me like you ready to start something. You know, it has to stop.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got to first love ourselves. And just like my son was talking about black businesses and things to that nature.
Yeah.
Now, he also talked about the political realm. Let me hit that real quick, because see, now I'm itching, now I'm ready to roll. Let me hit that. All of that, he said, is wonderful. But at the local level, we've got to handle some things ourselves.
Yes.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. I love President Obama. I loved other presidents. But every president that was in office, nothing in my financial status or my life changed. Hello. I'm just saying. Let's put it where it's at. My paycheck was the same. Nothing changed. What counts? And I know some Christian folk aren't going to like this. If money talks, I don't care what nobody says. Money talks. Yeah, the Bible talks about the love of money, and I get all that. We're not going to do wordplay tonight. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Money talks. When we start to keep our money within ourselves, my son touched on it, then we're going to start making changes.
Yeah.
We already know, like I said, things are not going to change. They're not going to change. I get that we want to try to make changes. No, we want to do the best we can to try to educate some people, and hopefully they can change. But the total outcome of prejudice in this world is not going to change. So we've got to do different. We've got to become independent. Now, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound crazy, but I want y'all to understand where I'm going.
Yeah.
We got to get to a point where we feel like, and we are wanting to be a segregated people that functions in an integrated world.
Right.
We have to be that.
Right.
Because we're not going to get the respect. It's just not going to happen. Not at a level where it can make change that we can function as African Americans. It's not going to happen. So when you got that person, now let's address businesses. Let's address black businesses. When a black man or a black woman has a business, let's support them. No, what do? We want to talk about them. We want to act like they ain't doing nothing. We want to be haters when they get something and stop trying to support. I mean, come on. But we'll turn right around and we up in Walmart, we're up in Macy's, we're up in Belk's, we're buying Jordans from everybody else but us. We won't buy knockoffs. Why? Oh, they ain't the real thing. So yeah, you're going to spend all that money. And listen, I'm not judging because, you know, I bought some, my kids bought some. I'm only saying things that I've already been a part of. Okay? But we want to go and do that because we want somebody to be impressed with who we look like and what we're doing and how we look. This has got to stop. So when you have someone who owns a black business, support that black business.
Support.
Be there for them.
Yeah,
Guess what?
support.
Here's a revelation. Any black person that is beginning a business, matter of fact, any person that's beginning a business, their prices are not going to be Walmart prices. All right, let me say it again.
Come on.
Their prices they don't have the volume to do wholesale pricing.
Come on.
So if their steak, their hamburger, their sneaker, their shirt, dress, whatever you're getting costs a little more, then pay for it. You're going to spend all that money to everybody else.
And it's custom
Yeah.
design.
Pay for it so that you can help them.
Yeah.
So that you can get them to a place where they can start to lower their prices. Okay, now let's talk about restaurants. Many of my friends, even in Newburgh where I'm from, they have restaurants. They've owned restaurants. They've done all kinds of things. Are we supporting them? No. We're talking about them. Then we going out to Red Lobster. Let me talk about that for a minute. We'll go to Red Lobster and we'll spend all that money. We'll spend $30, $40 on three crab legs on one and a half clusters. We'll eat it. It'll come out an hour later. We won't complain about it. And if we do, now we're afraid they're going to put something in our food because we complained about it. So what do? We tell everybody, no, be quiet because ain't no telling what they're going to do to your food. We pay all that money, then we tip someone. We end up spending all of that money in Red Lobster, and still tip someone, and for this service that's mediocre, we leave half broke,
Yeah.
and the food wasn't even that good. So what do we do? Because we've been taught, just eat it all so you don't waste. That's what our parents taught us. Oh, don't waste that. Eat all that on the plate. So we eat it all up, we wolf it down because we don't like it, and we still got to end up paying for it. But then if I go downtown to one of my friends' places down in Newburgh, and I get me a plate or something, I want to try to get a deal. Yo, hook me up with that. Yeah. Why you can't give me that for $5? Why you can't? Yo, come on. You know, me and you, we go way back. And let me throw. Why don't you throw in a soda? And then, oh, this ain't enough. We'll open the plate and say, oh, this ain't enough food on the plate. You don't do that at Red Lobster. You don't do that at Golden Corral or wherever. Well, that's an all-you-can-eat place. But you don't do that on places where you sit down.
Right.
So learn to have some respect for your own people.
Right.
And then how about this? We know the food is good, but we don't go. Why? Because we're haters. Because we can't cook it like that. We got to stop it, people.
Educate us.
We got to come within ourselves and be a part of ourselves.
Right.
Money talks. Let me explain something. For years, I heard the Rosa Parks story. Everybody hears it. It's a wonderful story. Everybody talks about, even in school, we're saying, oh, Rosa Parks, she's an icon, which she absolutely is an icon. But we don't hear the backdraft or the backstory behind the story. The reason things started happening, yes, it was because Rosa Parks was tired. And she sat down. That's what they magnify in school. No, the reason things started happening because they decided we're going to stop putting our money into that bus company.
Yep.
Right.
And when we all boycotted the bus company, all of a sudden, oh, sitting in that black seat ain't too bad no more, is it? Oh, now we can let people sit on the bus. Why? Because the company was falling apart. Look at what's going on now with COVID. Everything is falling apart because we can't be out. Let's learn a lesson, my people. Let's learn from this. Keep your money within your own culture.
Right.
Support your own culture. Now, again, I'm not saying this being prejudiced. I'm saying this because every other culture does it.
Yep.
We are the biggest consumers in America. Look it up. It's a statistical fact that we spend the most money, but we are the most impoverished.
Yes,
Why? Because our money, our dollar only lasts a few minutes in our community. You want to make a change in this America? Move that money in a different direction. I promise you, because all of a sudden, black, white, brown, yellow, it no longer becomes a factor when that money's involved.
Right.
Everything is going to start to change. We got to learn how to do that, because if we don't, we're going to fall apart. Even our preachers, I'm going to say it. Even our preachers, we got problems. We can't even support each other as preachers and pastors and all. Everybody got to hate. We need to put it down. It's getting old.
Yes.
We're not going to be able to affect change until we are the change.
Right.
We got to be that change, people. And listen, don't be afraid to go to someone. Let them know, look, I'm sorry. Look, what can we do? Let's get this together. Here's another thing, too. Don't be afraid to take a risk or a chance. We take a risk or a chance in everything. We get in all kinds of small businesses and do different things for all these other companies that make them rich. But 5 of us won't get together. We all got a savings of $5,000. Put all that money together, get us a little place on the corner, and get something started. Why? Because I don't trust you with my money. But you put your money in that bank, and how many people bank with a black bank? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so you put your money in that bank because you trust that bank. But you won't put your money in a table, in a brain trust, with a group of us that sit down as African Americans and say, hey, let's put this here. Okay, why? Because we don't trust each other. What if I only got 1,000, you got 8,000? Oh, no, man, we ain't going there because you ain't putting your part in. Yeah, but the guy with the $1,000 has the knowledge to run the company. You just have the finances. Sit down, write it out, put it on paper, how things are going to be fair, and go with it so we can make something happen. But do we do that? No, because we're too busy hating. We got to stop it. Because guess what? Like I said, at a certain level, it's not going to change, y'all. So at the local level, we have to become the change. We have to buy from each other. We have to circulate our money within the same communities so that we can achieve something. Is it going to be harder? Yes, it is. Are there still going to be prejudiced people that continue to stop us? Yes, there are. I just went through that. We just went through that a couple of years ago trying to get a business down here. Some of you may have seen it on Facebook. You can't imagine the things that we went through just to get simple things done. And then all I was hearing was how, it's not gonna change, and it's gonna be the same thing. It's in a bad neighborhood, and this and that and the other. We put it there, we wanted it there on purpose to make a change. But our own people was like, oh, it's not gonna change. It's not gonna be no good. It's not gonna work. Right. This and that and the other. We've got to change our mindset. Yeah. Until we do that, and until we start shifting our money and making something happen with our money. I've seen little things on Facebook that say, oh, okay, on this day we're all going to stop shopping at Walmart. What happens? You still see us rolling up at Walmart. No, we've got to make an impact. Right. When we start making an impact on that level, I promise you, all the politics and power, all of a sudden we're going to be important people. Right. Until we do that, we're not going to be worth anything to anybody. We got to do that. I'm going to be quiet for a moment.
And then one thing Christine had said too, even when we go to our black people to support, she said people expect them to spend less in their businesses.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know,
spend your check.
No, but we'll walk in there. Oh, this
like
too
you
high.
do everywhere else.
You know, I can't buy this. We expect them to put out less money. And then Sharita just posted something right here too. Read that out.
The lack of trust with one another is another form of slave mentality. That's right. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of barriers that need to be broken. Hopefully people really want change. Exactly. Exactly. It is a form of mentality. We've got to reverse that process, and we especially got to do it with our children in the communities and help those parents. And I see you, son. I'm going to be quiet, but I was on that road. Let me say it real quick. And help those parents right now that are struggling, those single moms out there, all right? Help them to get themselves together. My daughter's a teacher. And I'm from New York. This is the first time in my life I went to her school, and the entire school is African American. The teachers and the students. I've never seen anything like that in my life. But it's not African American because they decided to make a charter school. It's African American because those are the lower impoverished kids, and they threw them all there. And then half the teachers in there are fighting each other. Come on. We got to make a difference. This is at the grade school level. We've got to instill in these little young minds that you can do this. Right. But until we educate them on who we are and our culture and which direction we need to go as a culture, we can't teach them the history books that they learn. They got to get that for the grade. But at home, we got to teach them how to be black in America and how to function in America. Okay. So.
And what I was going to say is, too, I'm going to go with the slavery, start over that. Slavery time, they would get the biggest man and beat him and show the whole people to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. If y'all do it, it's going to happen to y'all. And they're still doing it. You know, we video and they're showing us, if y'all do it, we're going to do it to you. And also, it's killing the authoritative person in the house.
That's
so
right.
you cannot tell, like, that's why, you know, it's a lot of young people in this generation going buck wild because the authoritative person is either dead or in jail.
Right.
You know, and there's no one, and then their mom's trying to do what she got to do.
That's right.
But she has to work so that she can support, you know, the family. So she can't do it right from wrong. And then the grandparents maybe, you know, they're trying to do it, and then sometimes the mom like, no, these are my kids, you can't do this.
Exactly.
You know, so all that unlearned stuff, and that's why it's getting worse.
And no male factor in the house. No image in the house.
Yeah.
And like my nephew said on the other week, the message that my sister has spoke on about broken image. They break the image of a man in the eyes of the black people, the black generation. They break that image, and then the young men are in a house without a father in there because the father incarcerated, because the father was out there trying to provide for them, but providing for them the wrong way, because when they try to go the right way, they hit a brick wall and get a no and a no and a no and a no. And then they keep getting no's, so they result to, I got to provide for my household. And then it's just a learned behavior. If the child, if my father did it, then the child that grows up a young man, I can do it. This is how we make the quick money. But they're trying to break the image of a man in our household. But it's up to us to stand together and make sure that man authority stays. And we got to come together, like my husband said, with these businesses and everything. You break the wallet, you break the people.
That's right.
And so they've been breaking us all these years, and from generation to generation. Okay, let me give it back to you, son.
Yeah, so just 2 more points and then Mom can take it.
Okay.
With the black-owned businesses, I want to start a challenge where, you know, I know some of the stuff is closed, but if you know of a black-owned business, go there and put it on Facebook and say, I went to a black-owned business.
Yeah,
and I
that would be
supported
a
black
great
shop.
challenge.
And then even if you do have to go to, say, Dillard to Walmart, find the black-owned people, because, you know, Beyonce and all them got a clothing line. Find where they do that. Her mom has a clothing line. Find where their stuff is and buy their stuff. And also with the celebrities, hey, you know, people down here, we're good. We're talking about getting business and putting money together. You guys have money to put together to open a bank for us to use your bank. You know, and you can hire us to be the presidents and be different things. So you have the money and the resources to do it. Why don't you help us here and get the resources up top so that we can help you down here at the bottom to push you guys up? Hey, you know, Jordan, you have $1 billion. Hey, why don't you say, you know what? I'm gonna get off of Nike and use my own name and say, hey, it come from me, straight from Jordan. This is me. Don't have to go to Nike. It's coming straight to me. Now, you know, I don't know if he does that now, but go ahead and do that, Jordan. You know, there's always avenues so that we can support ourselves. And also another thing, and I'm gonna be quiet. Also, it's getting bad now because when have you heard back in, you know, way back when, that school shootings and all that kind of stuff because they had the male figure at the top.
That's right.
Male principals, the assistant principal. Now, women, don't get me wrong, you guys doing good, but I call it the lion effect.
Right.
When you go to the jungle, a lion roars, the male lion roars, everything stops.
Yeah.
And I call that with us. You know, when my dad yells right now, we all gonna jump and move.
Yeah.
Because that's that authoritative voice.
Yeah.
So we get that back in the schools. Yes, lady principals, y'all doing good. But we have that would help with everything.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have the black-owned schools, get a black male principal in there so they can say, hey, sit down, and they won't do it because that fear is just that natural fear the way God ordained it to be.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what God ordained it to be in there to say, hey, don't do that, don't act like that, stop fighting with each other. We can train them young so that when they get older, like the mom can't do it. So the principal, male principal, there are male figures there, and be the right male figure there. You know, either white or black. You know, the white guy, if it's a white principal, you know, let him not be biased to it. Just let him be that authoritative. Say, hey, this is not going to go on.
Right.
You can do it at the white school. You can stop shooting each other. Have the male principal there and say, hey, get it together. And they'd be afraid to do different things. They'd be afraid to do it because, you know, I don't want to go to the principal. He said he don't want to see me again because that fear is there.
Right.
That fear is there.
But we need the authority to get
the authority back.
The man. We do. You had something else, Teresa, before you did the time back in? Okay. Well,
I wanted to.
Tomorrow's?
Yes, go ahead.
I can remember an incident that happened with Tomorrow's. We was coming from North Carolina, and we was driving on the back roads of Georgia, and it was raining real hard, and Tomorrow's had just had his license, I'll say a good 3 months. So, and with me sitting in the car, I'm going to make sure he's driving carefully, and it's raining. All of a sudden, lights came out of nowhere, and he pulled over. And we was in my truck, and I was sitting back, like laid back, and on the seat resting. And when the officer walked up to the car, he looked in the car. He said, "License and registration." Oh, he said it so rudely. And as soon as he said that, I peeked up and said, "Officer, what happened? What did we do?" He jumped. Ooh. I said, "What was that about?" He said, "Oh, I thought he was in here alone." And we all were like, he's not alone. Then he said, "Okay, well, I'm just going to get his license and registration. I'm going to give him a ticket and y'all can go on." He wrote the ticket up that no one could have understood. But he did not know that Tomorrow's had a mom that could have been a private investigator. I searched every kind of way that I could until I got to his head and the one that was over him. And I talked with him and got everything straight. But what if I hadn't have? And they had on there, if he didn't get this straight by a certain length of time, he would have been arrested. And he would have been charged a felony. So I'm just glad that I was there, because it could have went a different way. And I was telling my son how to act, what to do, where to keep his hands, everything. But I said that to say, your children get in all these situations, and you're afraid because you don't know what might happen. I can't imagine me being outside of there, because they're telling all of us get out, telling me to get on the ground, and I had on my new dress and my new shoes, and it rained.
Okay,
but I would have got
thank
on the
you,
ground, though. I'm just saying. just to pass a little joke right there. But anyway, we're going to keep it real and let you all know that we are concerned about what is happening in the world today and in the United States. We hope that we can say something that encourage you on the day and to help you to go out and support the black businesses. Go out there, help. You know, tell somebody about the business. No, we're not going yet. And just share with them and let them know that we are here to help you. We're here to support you. We are going to stand together. Once people see us standing together, that's when they'll get afraid, when fear really will come up, and we will show them that we're locked in on this. You know, that's what we got to do today. Ain't that right, honey?
Yeah, that's right. And when she talks about fear, we don't want people to be afraid of us.
No.
We want them to respect who we are. And again, and maybe I'm wrong, and that's okay. You can chime in if you feel like, if you agree to disagree, it's fine. I still got love for you. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like we're to those people, and not all people, mm-hmm. but to those people that still can't get past that learned behavior of prejudice, mm-hmm. There's certain areas we're just not going to tap into. Right. And we're going to have to remain who we are to each other. It's a must. And once people start to see that, oh, trust me, it's going to get worse mm-hmm. before it gets better. But that's the new stand. That's the new march. That's the new picket. Again, right. I'm not knocking against picketing, against marching, but there has to be a
something
difference.
Different.
We've got to change the way that we do what we do, because they see that. They wait for us to get finished. They sit back and laugh at us, and then they continue to do the same thing. Right. But I promise you, when money starts shifting, money makes a person do anything, and the lack of money makes a person do anything. Did y'all catch that? Mm-hmm. So we got to be in a place where we have the controlling power through our finances. We don't want people to be afraid. They're not going to know that we're here at their level, but we want them to know that we're here. Yeah. We are here, and we make a difference.
Yes.
And one thing I wanted to say was that being African American in America, holding the title, is I don't feel safe here sometimes. No, I'm not gonna just go back to Africa, because apparently, in reference to what my mom was saying earlier, which is kind of true, in some of their eyes, I'm not even considered African, because I've been Americanized, and I don't know the culture, I don't speak the language, I don't speak the dialects from whichever country they're from, Ghana, whatever, Egypt, or whatever. But there's certain, one thing when growing up in school, I didn't really have many black friends, because the things I was interested in, and because I was intelligent, I wasn't considered cool. And because I was respectful and I didn't really curse, I wasn't considered cool. I wasn't considered cool. Nobody black wanted to be around me. Really, they kind of just,
because we didn't condone that kind of language in our house.
Right.
Okay, continue.
Right. I had enough self-respect for the image that I was creating for my family, in my school, not to do those things. Right. So I gravitated to people who didn't look like me, maybe white people or Latin American people. I had a lot of white friends. Yeah. So the thing is that I was worried about growing up is that there are certain conversations I just can't have with my friends, because they just won't understand. Mm-hmm. Or they won't be sympathetic to my issues. So I avoid the conversation. And then when they bring it up, I just kind of sit there and be quiet. And it's just my friend has no idea what they're talking about. But they're talking about it because their family is telling them something from a perspective that they see.
Right.
and the only side that they see. They're not looking on the side of like, well, this person is a child and they had a mom, and their mom is telling the side of the story now. Like, this child would not have done anything like this, or like the level of resistance that he had against you would be like as if you caught me by surprise and like grabbed the back of my wrist and just kind of just like nudged me like that. And it's like, oh, if I like kick back a little bit, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize what happened. Now I'm considered resisting to arrest. That's crazy to me. And it's like, it makes me uncomfortable to have those conversations with my friends because they're just not, I don't think they're gonna understand. And then like if I try to tell them, like, it's funny to say, but it seems as though, and I'm happy this happens, that people are raised in a household and a lifestyle and dreams that they can pursue and be a part of. But it seems as though they have those hopes and dreams and pursuits in like a tunnel vision mindset, where like nothing else is going on in my life, but as long as I keep going down this tunnel, I'm good to go. But you're going to encounter people who don't look like you, who don't act like you, and who don't think like you. So this bubble that you're in right now, it's going to get burst when you least expect it, and it's going to be a little too late for you to do anything about it. Your mindset is not going to be ready for it. The way you think is not going to be ready for it. The way you act is not going to be ready for it. Like, I feel like I'm afraid my friends will only understand what I feel or deal with on a daily basis. Me trying to be careful walking in the store, me showing my merchandise in one hand and my phone in the other. That the only way they'll understand is if I'm killed, and I have to pray that their family, their friends, and the media does not convince them and the world that I'm a criminal and I deserve to die, or me being killed is justified.
Wow.
Because if they go to any of the grade schools, the middle school or the high school I went to growing up, like any of the news reporters, and ask, well, how was Terrell Stewart? I know all my teachers are going to laugh them straight out of that building. I know you're not talking about Terrell Stewart, the nicest kid in the class, the nicest kid in the school, the most like influential African American child I ever met in my life. Like, he wanted to be a part of people's lives. He wanted to be the nicest person. He wanted to treat people with respect. He wanted to make learning something enjoyable. Whenever he input information into a conversation, it made people think like, oh, I didn't think about it that way.
Right.
Like, that's the lifestyle I built in my classroom. So I know if anybody, a reporter of any kind, tries to come into one of them schools, the teachers that I had will laugh them out of that building. Like, get out of my face. Like, you can't even say anything like that about Torres.
Right.
So it's sad that I feel like the only way my friends who don't look like me will understand how I feel is if I have to die.
Right.
And then people who actually care about me, who have like the guts and the chutzpah, like, you know, that's Hebrew for like or Jewish for like guts, to like speak up about it. Hopefully they'll believe them. Hopefully the news won't take information about them or their past and try to discredit what they say, so that nobody believes me. It's sad that like somebody would have to speak up for my life in order for it to matter.
Right, in order for it to matter.
And let me say something about that. I'm glad that my son brought that up, because here's another situation that we deal with as African Americans. Now, my son and my daughter were both in honor roll classes. So we already know that if you're in honor roll classes, majority of people in those classes are going to be Caucasian, going to be white people.
Only black male.
We know that. That's the way it is. Why? Because they put all of us in a certain category and group throughout the schools. It was very difficult for us to try to explain to them, and I especially stayed on top of Torres because he was a black male in America, that although you can go and you can do all the things you want to do with your friends that may be white, we don't have, again, that's not who we are. Go have a great time. But he still had to be aware of who he was. And that was one of the hardest things. I know there's a lot of days he didn't understand, why is daddy drilling this in my head? Why is mommy saying what she's saying? Why can't I go do this? And why can't I go do that? because although their friends were loving people, and we've met pretty much all of them, everyone around them may not be loving people.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Like, at a moment's notice, I understood what my dad was telling me, because I don't know if my parents knew, but I dissected everything they taught me, everything they showed me, everything they said to me. I took it and added layers to it. I was like, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if that happened? So, like, me, what I would understand was that being out with those friends, at a moment's notice, if they had some other friend that may not have thought like them, if they weren't strong-minded enough, they could have been influenced to do whatever they wanted to do to me when I least expected it.
right.
Like,
Right.
and not because that my friend was a horrible person, but they could have been influenced by somebody else who was their friend who was a horrible person. So I had to be mindful of just, I trust my friends, but every now and then if I go go to the bathroom, if I'm at a restaurant, let me just ask for another drink. If another friend that I don't know, that they know, shows up and I get a weird vibe from them, let me just ask for another drink. Can I get another Sprite, please?
Right.
Yeah.
Your glass is full. Can I get another Sprite, please?
Yeah.
Because we don't know. And I have a couple of comments. Excuse me. Comments I'm going to read. But I also want to bring out the point that we have some people who love us to no end, and they don't look like us. And again, I say that because I feel like I need to say that.
Right.
I'm not condoning what those cops did or anyone else who is prejudiced. There's black people who are prejudiced against white people.
Yeah.
That could be just as wrong. Listen, we understand where it's coming from,
Yes.
but at the same time, it doesn't help their situation as an African American. I want to say I have some friends, and I'm going to leave them nameless, that I know that they would have my back, and they don't look like me. I have a friend that I grew up with. He's a musician. We played music together. When I was in New York seeing about my mother, I would want to go a lot of places where he was performing just to support him. This friend, and I've known him since grade school, this friend loved me enough to be able to have a conversation with me to say, and this particular place is not a place where I think you should go. Now, to me, that's someone who cares. Why? Because he knew I'm not like this. But the people that I'm going to be dealing with are like this.
Right.
And I don't want you to get in a situation to be in danger. Would he have my back? Absolutely, he would have had my back. But he understood the realistic situation. And that's what we also have to do as African Americans. Understand the realistic situation. Don't get into something that you do. I always tell my kids, I don't get in a fight unless I already know I can win it.
Right.
So if you know that you can't win the fight or the battle, don't get in the battle.
Right.
Because you're going to lose.
Right.
You've got to be able to go in it knowing that you've already won. Let me say one more thing really quickly before I make this comment about my African American brothers. Okay, when we have an altercation, let me explain something. We've got to learn to scale down our altercations, whether it's in the line at Walmart or whatever we're doing. We've got to learn to scale down. We're so quick to rise up. We want to show our pride. We want to be the alpha. Thank you. The alpha male in the jungle, in the hood, on the street, in the store. At the end of the day, what's going to happen is you and I are going to get into it. We're going to fight, or whatever we do. The cops are going to come. They're not going to care who was right or who was wrong. Both of us are going to jail. And where does that leave our homes, wives, family, children? I tell people all the time, I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm not going to get into a battle with anyone as long as they're bothering me. If I can diffuse it, I will diffuse it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to go to jail for someone else trying to make an impression when I have a family to take care of. Let it ride. It's not worth it. I'll let somebody get a hit or two in on me. Now, when you mess with my family, that's a whole different story. Because now I got to protect my family. But we as a people, we have to learn to scale it down, to back out, to not try to be that guy that, I took, so you beat this guy down, what happens? Then what happens when he decides to say, okay, now I'm going to press charges on you? Right. Now you have a record. Yeah. Why? Because you won the fight? You know, I'm in my 50s and I hit this guy with this 270 pounds on me and knocked him out, and now I'm the big man in Walmart while they're taking me out of handcuffs. Now my family doesn't have the main supplier, the provider. So we've got to learn how to descale these things and get along with one another. And again, this is all in light of what has happened this week. I know it sounds like we're talking about each other, but we have to get to the roots of these problems.
Right.
Because if we take care of us, we ain't got to worry about them bothering us.
That's right.
They're going to be very reluctant to want to put their foot on our necks. And so I want to read a couple of these comments that, I was going to get to it, that Sharita has on here, and I also want to read another one that I see that Donald has on here. It says she made a list, and go back on after we get off and make note of these, screenshot them. Top black-owned banks: the Harbor Bank of Maryland, established in 1982. Industrial Bank, established in 1913. One United Bank, established in 2018. Carver Federal Savings Bank, established in 1948. And also a good comment that, and please forgive me if I don't get to all of your comments, but we do see them. So go back on and look over these comments. We thank you for everything you've done. You chimed in tonight and gave us some great information.
Yes.
And this is what we need. This is the start. This is what we need to do. This is the dialogue that we need to have to continue to educate us and get us on the right track.
Right.
If enough of us do that, then we can make some changes at our level, which will in turn affect on the way up. So he says, Donald says here, we need to get our legislators and representatives to introduce a bill that clarifies constitutional limits on conduct by law enforcement officers. 18 U.S.C. 242, physical assault. The reasonableness of particular use of force must be judged from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene. Graham versus Connor. So we need to be able to understand these bills and politics that are going on. And thank you for that, Donald Watkins. We appreciate you. That's my brother-in-law.
He said he can answer.
Okay. Well, my son, who was taking up law enforcement in school, says he can answer that. Y'all haven't heard from him all night, but we're going to turn the mic over to him.
To you, Tamar.
Well, Uncle, in the state of Georgia, it actually is a law that excessive force is a crime among somebody, basically. So if they are, if they're already in handcuffs and they're getting thrown to the floor and not doing anything and it's been seen, the officer is supposed to get suspended for at least 2 weeks without pay, from what I've learned in class. For everybody who does not know, once you get pulled over, you're technically already under arrest. So that's why you have to follow the directions of the police officer. So that's just the side.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, son.
Thank you.
State of Georgia, though.
And, all right. There we go. There's our criminal justice major who has chimed in. All right. Go ahead.
I have one last comment. Now that we know that where the banks are, I would like to, the reason why I mentioned about the celebrities is because they have influence. They have influence, and if they were to go to the black banks and different things, one, that would give us somewhat confidence. Okay, well, if they trust that bank, then we can trust the bank.
Right.
And two, that would give that bank more money to put it everywhere in the United States, so we have access to them. Because, we don't have, if we put out money there, I can't go to the ATM and have a free ATM because it's not down here in Georgia. It's not in the different areas. So if we, that's what I'm saying. I wish we could charge the celebrities that have influence over us to put their monies in there.
Yeah.
Then we can follow suit and feel confident, one, and they have more money to spread around the world.
Right. I would like to thank you all for joining us tonight at the table. We see all the comments that was made, and we're going to read over them, and we thank you for joining Tammy Talk on tonight. We hope that you would join us again on Sunday evening at 6:30. If you all want to continue the conversation, please let me know that we should continue the conversation, and we will. I will bring other people in to talk about. I will invite other people in to bring their point of view in concerning what is happening today in our today's world. And I will bring in professionals. I bring in people who have experienced something, even to sit and talk with you. But I appreciate you all, and I thank you all for tuning in to watch the Tammy Talk Show. I thank my family for sitting around the table on today to share with you all. We hope that there was something done and said to enhance you on today, to inspire you today, to let you know that there's somebody here in this world that are thinking about you, and we love you. We love you dearly, and we thank you for taking the time out to watch the Tammy Talk Show. From my family to yours, we love you much. Watch us again Sunday at 6:30. See you then.